You are listening to the Lucha Central Podcast Network. And now, LuchaCentral.com presents Masks, Mats, and Mayhem.
It's reckless sending us in the summer with all this ball.
And feel the sweat clinging to the hairs in my neck. Welcome to another edition of Masks, Mats, and Mayhem. I'm your host, the Outlaw LA Red. You can find me on social media at JustinHarvey75. You can find the entire show on social media at MMMshow75. That over there is at Lucha Gringo.
No, I am the Zodiac, and it is time that we get acquainted.
Gimmicks never stop, man. Gimmicks never stop. That up there is at Meefloaf. What's going on, Meef? And this guy right here is a semi-famous, almost award-winning director, filmmaker, television producer, wrestling aficionado, and bearded fuckboy Byron Fever, at Byron Fever. What's going on, Byron?
Catch it. I'm just hanging out with my friends like last week.
Where is your cat? Your cat hasn't been on this show enough.
Anyway,
I don't really care.
Guillermo,
so listen, last week I said some really, really harsh things about Kevin Kleinrock. So I have to walk some of that back now. I found out, in fact, that Kevin is being the angel-hearted soul that he is. He actually went on Keeping It 100, as he does every week with the Lucha Libre report that he does over there. And he actually did mention Masks, Mats, and Mayhem. He mentioned Skip Chasen. He mentioned our cool interview and everything. It just happened to have gotten cut out of the show. So no heat with Kevin. I totally apologize. But now, fuck Jojo Feeney. Jojo Feeney's their producer. Obviously, he was the one that cut that shit out.
Honestly,
fuck that guy. What the hell?
Justin, I find this explanation suspect at best. If I was to forget to mention someone, I would pass the buck and blame it on someone else's editing as well.
No,
so,
it's legit.
I'd blame Byron.
Why don't we'll ask Glenn, because Glenn probably doesn't care one way or the other.
Yeah, we're gonna have him do a mailbag next week, I think.
Anyway, but look, I'm gonna take the heat off of Kevin Kleinrock. I'm gonna firmly place it on Jojo Feeney. He's got his own podcast network, and I think that maybe he just didn't want to give us the rub. I don't know. Maybe they were just long on time. I don't want to jump to conclusions, except fuck you, Jojo. What the fuck, man? Come on, give a brother some love.
He's the guy from Boy Meets World, right?
I don't know anything about it.
They put a 20-minute promo from Hoovy, where he,
Hoovy was important shit.
They could have just played that at 110% speed. It would have trimmed 45 minutes off, and then they could have been MMMshow with Skip.
Wait, why are we talking about them? We should be talking about Straight Out of the Bodega or somebody on our network.
First of all, Byron, give me the one. I want to show you how much we support the juice.
How does this work?
Perfect.
Juicy, baby.
What?
How does this work?
Yeah. Hi, Mom.
Hey, what's up?
Hi. How you doing? Audio listeners, Casey
has that even got a mad t-shirt?
Casey's showing off the juice. Anyway, I just wanted to apologize to Kevin. I thought that I was everyone told me I was a little harsh last week. I didn't mean to hurt anyone's feelings. I was butthurt. It happens. We have heat every moment.
I'm still mad.
We have a new place to be mad at, and
we're not for all you DMers and people who are we're not leaving the network we just got on. There's no business thing. Business and personal don't go together, guys. It's
honestly, Justin, I've already left mentally. I've already left. I'm gonna phone it in.
Years ago.
The virus, baby.
Yeah,
I vow to phone it in for the rest of the show. I'm only going to mention our ball hair sponsorship quest one time on this episode, and that time is right now.
Okay.
We still do not have the ball hair sponsorship unless it happens by the time this airs, and then Byron can edit sloppily right after I'm saying this instead of replacing what I'm saying.
This personal.
Right. Listen, you guys, as much as I know some, or at least a few of you love us, I know why you're really here. You guys want to hear all the grit, all the good stuff
about our balls.
No,
and let me tell you,
not that.
Our balls would be doing a lot better if we had a shaver sponsor.
I can't stop him, guys. I don't.
Mine's
stop
like
him.
a womp.
We pay him good money to do these things.
I think the ball shaving conglomerate just did a conspiracy and muted Casey's audio.
Look, I try my hardest to get you guys to the guests as fast as possible because I know that that's why you're really here, especially for this episode. And
I will not be censored here.
Oh my God. You should be here for this awesome guest. We've had him on the show many times before. And if you've ever seen in the past our show when he's come on, these are the times when you get information before everyone else. When Lucha Underground was on hiatus, you got the real goods from the man himself, the showrunner, right here on this show. When Lucha Underground was starting to fall apart, you got some of the information directly from here. When Lucha Underground was having issues negotiating their contract or coming back to TV or problems with visas, you heard it here first. You're going to hear some more stuff here first today from the showrunner, the executive producer, a producer extraordinaire, Eric Van Wagenen. He is the real and true jefe and leader of what you get from Lucha Underground as a TV product. As much as lots of other people had their fingers in it, he was the guy responsible for doing it every damn day, helping all the other producers get the resources and access they needed. And, okay, yeah, a little bit I am, but at the same time, the guy deserves it. He put in a lot of hard work, and I think we all derived a lot of entertainment from it. So if you want to hear about the future of Lucha Underground, you want to hear thoughts about why Lucha Underground is no more and what the legacy of Lucha Underground is straight from the horse's mouth. Don't take it from us. Take it from the man himself, and check out the rest of our interview with Lucha Underground executive producer Eric Van Wagenen.
Hey everyone, it's Denise Salcedo here in Lucha Central with a look at all of the great shows available this week on the Lucha Central Podcast Network, where you can always find each show on its own or subscribe to the Lucha Central Podcast Network show for every show in one easy feed. Monday, Lucha Libre Figures and Facts returns as the crew talks about the history of one of Lucha Libre's most influential personalities, Conan, including an in-depth look at his Toy Biz WCW Slam and Crunch action figure. Tuesday, it's Mass, Mats, and Mayhem as Lucha Underground executive producer and showrunner Eric Van Wagenen is back for part 2 of his interview, where he gets confronted with the number one question on the minds of series fans: will Lucha Underground return? Tune in Tuesday for his answer and a whole lot more. Thursday, on Straight Out of the Bodega, Papo Esco and Gabriel Ramirez are joined by WWE NXT referee Tom Castor, who trained for his career in NorCal and was part of many area promotions, including PWR, before his move to the international stage. The trio talks Tom's incredible journey leading up to his tryout, signing with WWE, and the road to recovery after his gruesome injury where his leg snapped mid-match, but he kept officiating until the end. This is an interview you won't want to miss. Also, Thursday and in Espanol, the #1 Spanish language wrestling podcast in the US, La Mesa de los Márgaros, is all new. And AAA Exótico, Mamba, pulls up a seat at the table. On Friday, we've got one of the top Lucha Libre podcasts on the US iTunes charts, Lucha Central Weekly, and the #1 wrestling podcast in Mexico, Lucha Central Weekly en Español. Get all the latest news on the road to Lucha Libre restarting in Mexico, plus a check-in on the top names in Lucha Libre and US promotions, including WWE and AEW. Be sure to subscribe and follow all your favorite Lucha Central Network series on your favorite podcast platforms, and please be sure to give a rating and review to help more fans find the shows that you love. For now, this is Denise Salcedo signing off from Lucha Central. Have a great week.
Oh, that was awesome.
How cool is he?
That was really cool, man.
Just a mensch. Love that guy.
And I always say to him, I say, Skip, if you were just a bigger asshole, you'd be directing $100 million movies.
So we're being joined now by Eric Van Wagenen, who, if you are a fan of Lucha Underground, you should absolutely know and love, because he was one of the main forces behind actually making that thing happen, as in doing this. Like, hey, you go here.
If you're a fan of our show, you should know and love him, because he's been on here 5 times now.
I've been on here about as much as me.
Yeah.
Eric, how is post Lucha Underground life treating you? Do you feel a giant void in your heart?
In a weird way, I do. In a strange kind of way, I always joke that was my weekend hustle. It was my side job, because a lot of times I was working on another show during the week, and so I would just it was a side hustle for me for a couple of those seasons. But it was always going on, there was very few times that it wasn't happening. And so even when there was, when we were shooting on the weekends, and then after that, it was like watching a cut on a Tuesday night to turn around notes, or going to a mix, or going to an online, there was always like 52 weeks a year, there was some sort of lucha thing happening. And it was always my excuse to get out of stuff on the other show, which was awesome. It's like, oh, I don't want to be in that staff meeting. Sorry, guys, I got a lucha meeting I have to go to. So,
hey, well, when you're the boss, you got to use that to your advantage every now and then, right?
Yeah, but you can't say no. I really don't want to meet with the lawyers today just because I hate that. Can I, or the product placement people, or the clearance supervisor?
Yeah,
I've got a lucha thing. I got to go. And so. It was great to have that in my back pocket at a moment's notice. And honestly, I missed the people. I still work with a lot of the same production people when I can, but not everybody. And it was a fun cast. I mean, the cast were fun, and it's fun to see these guys doing well, and I'm happy for them. Things got a little weird at the end. People got a little. Some people were pretty disillusioned by the end of it all, but genuinely, top to bottom, what a great bunch of people, who were, overlooked. A lot of them had been overlooked by kind of mainstream wrestling for a while, and so to see these guys now get the shine that they're getting it's really kind of fun, and I wish the best for all of them.
Well, and it really has panned out for a lot of them. Like we've been talking a bit about, Cross and Phantasma being with WWE now, and Morrison even being back there. Talk about somebody looking like a happy pig and shit.
Ricochet and all these guys are doing. There are, so many of them are doing.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know Ricochet was involved with Lucha Underground.
Who's that? What? Oh, yeah.
Hey, Fabe. But even like
terrible.
Shane Strickland is doing great on NXT too. Like, it's like your whole roster has.
I'm sorry, Byron. Do you mean Jermaine Strickland?
Jermaine, Lieutenant Jermaine.
Right. There's two guys that I think that I want to see be doing more. AR Fox. I don't know why he's not been somewhere bigger.
Like, for real, please. We actually had this conversation a couple weeks ago, Eric. Like, AR, how much we thought he was just dope. He was great in all of his everything that he's done, but I feel like he's a cool cat. He's pretty laid back and mellow, and like he just doesn't want to pick up the phone and do the runaround that these other guys do to get ahead.
I don't even think he has a Twitter account, or maybe he got one recently. But
he got one. We made fun of him long enough.
Any of that self-promoting, like he's the only guy that actually really loves wrestling or something. I don't know, but he doesn't. He's not a self-promoter. And the other guy I want to see do well is Marty. I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, I actually had drinks with him over the holidays. I was up in Utah, and we finally, got together and had a couple of beers. And I know he's been injured a lot, but like he's another guy. He was one of the few that was like, Marty can act. He let him say whatever he wants to.
Yeah. Last time I saw Marty, I was standing with him and Cross, and not to expose the business, but they were working out something for a match. And it was pretty much Marty saying, all right, dude, we're just going to go get a whole bunch of plunder for this match because I can't do a whole bunch of back bumps right now, but I'll let you beat me up with a trash can, a chair, some staples, whatever, man. Just like, let's take it easy on the Saito Doomsday suplexes today.
I mean, what a shock! He's got back problems. All the stuff that crazy stuff.
Well, I mean, I would see him in an off-camera shot at Lucha Underground throw himself into the stairs at the bleachers. When he was bumping out of a match,
or a dark match.
It would be like season 1 before he was really doing much. Where he was.
Oh, that dark match where he ate shit. Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
Royal
That was the second day of taping ever. That was a bad day. Yeah, that was a bad day.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just what he puts into it. He's like, dude, if I'm out here and I'm in character, I'm bumping. I don't care if the cameras are on me or even on. Like, we're gonna do this or we're not gonna do this. And even that match that night with him and Cross, you know, they were supposed to go 5 minutes and take it easy on each other. They beat the crap out of each other for like 23 minutes and just threw everything into the ring. And still at the end, Doomsday, here we go, you know.
I helped carry Marty to the medical van on Tough Enough, and I helped carry him the second tape day. Like I'm always saying to Marty, just go out there and just don't get hurt, please. Just don't die. You know, I don't want to go to the hospital tonight. Please stop.
I'm pretty proud of my my Lucha Underground paraphernalia. I have Pentagon's last mask that he wore, so I actually have a bit of Marty's blood in my
DNA.
You'll always have a piece of Marty. We don't want to know what Byron does with wrestlers' DNA. That's a whole nother show.
We can move on to the next topic now.
So, Eric, I want to ask you a couple of the tough questions because you know I always do. I'm friendly, but I can't take it completely easy on you.
You got a podcast out there.
It's not even that. It's just that it's so damn interesting to get your perspective on a lot of this stuff too, and it's the stuff that people don't know. And again, it's not even about exposing the business so much as it is about understanding it. Because I don't think, you know, we've talked about this before. People don't understand how much Lucha Underground was very much a TV show. And how that was part of the unsustainability. I won't even say the demise, but it made it harder to sustain than a lot of other wrestling promotions because you're not doing live gates and $1 billion in T-shirts and working 52 weeks a year. You know, you had to hit episodes and episode budgets, and it's a different pay structure to the whole thing. But you were talking about the complications at the end of season 4 and some of the feelings out there that people had, the whole contract thing. And we've never really had a chance to talk to you about this, but the people getting in and out of the contracts. I know you were a big proponent of trying to let people be able to work. And how do you feel like it finally panned out after season 4 when people were able to finally move on?
I mean, it was definitely messy. You know, it was messy, and it was hard for me being part of the production, but not part of the LLC. And the LLC controlled the contracts, and so I would get calls from Cross, and I would get calls from people. Hey, you know, Evilise and you know, other people that were just like, hey, can you help me get out of this? And I would always try. Like I was like, yeah, you know, why would we want to have you there if you don't want to be there? You know, but at some point it was sort of like just, you know, throwing a bottle into the ocean, hoping that somebody would respond. You know, the relationship between MGM and you know, the LLC got a little testy there for a while, and so there was, you know, there was a lot of sort of like standoffs happening and people not trying to do this, and you don't want to, and that always, you know, I always joke, like when the elephants fight, the mice get trampled, you know, and there was a lot of us mice that were getting trampled, you know, including the cast, you know, so, you know, a lot of it was never meant to be personal. It just, you know, and I think the other issue is that it was a mix of TV people and wrestling people. And, you know, we did a really nice job of blending those two kind of types. But wrestling people are so much more passionate about wrestling than TV people. I mean, TV people are typically business people. And, right. And at some point they say, hey, it's just not worth it. You know, let's go do something else. But wrestling people will go down the rabbit hole. I mean, they don't let it go, you know? And so there was, you know, there's people who've, you know, there's a lot of people whose career is wrestling. And so the shows like this means so much more to them than TV people. And TV people are like, oh, you know, okay, let's talk about it in a couple months, or let's not make any decisions yet, or let's do whatever. Whereas wrestling people are like, no, this is my life, you know? Mm-hmm. You know, I was probably more on the TV person side of it because, you know, I haven't done anything in wrestling since, and I'm not sure if I ever will. I don't, you know, who's to say? I would be open to it, but I'm not, like I was saying, you know, I'm doing other projects now, but you know, that's what made it great, but that's also sometimes what made it suck, is that mismatched expectations and people willing to, being more passionate about it than other people.
Well, I think if wrestling has proven anything over time, it's that time does heal wounds to a certain extent, and anything really can happen. Like a lot of the heat that we were hearing at the time is nowhere to be found now. Like people are starting to get this nostalgic vibe about Lucha Underground and reminiscing a lot. And I've heard a ton of wrestlers say wonderful things about Dorian and the LLC recently that during those contract issues would have never said such a thing. And that's just the honest truth.
And we're not saying those things.
No, and I mean, look, but those wounds are starting to heal already, which is amazing to me that in a little over a year's time that these wounds are starting to heal. And I find that amazing.
Making money is going to heal a lot of wounds.
Well, yeah, and a lot of those people are able to go out, or they've seen, some of the people that asked to be released that are still not doing much with it, are now, I think, trying to be friendly with everyone in any way they can. But there's reasons for it.
They'll hate you till they need you, right?
Exactly, and wrestling is obviously a business of need because you need at least two people in the ring to get it going on, and you need other people behind the scenes to make it happen for you.
And I do think people do remember the fun of it now. Like I posted like that little like rehearsal.
I was going to ask you about that because that's at the Lucha Underground fan world on fire.
I honestly thought, okay, a couple dozen people would like it, maybe a few people really like that. Like
explain what those clips were for people who haven't seen them. They're on Eric Van Wagenen's Twitter. There's a couple of awesome BTS clips that he put up.
Yeah, and honestly, I was just, like everybody, you're in COVID, you're locked down, you're going through, you're organizing, you're throwing away stuff, you're cleaning files, doing whatever. And I was actually going through looking for some photos of my kids or something, and I knew I had those somewhere, and they were in my my library, and then I saw it, and then there was an unmasked Pentagon on it, and I'm like, I don't want to send that out anywhere because Pentagon is you can see his face real clearly, and he doesn't want to do it. So I wasn't going to do anything. And then I was working with Ryan, the editor we were talking about, and he goes, "Oh, give him to me. I'll blur him in 2 seconds and give him right back to you." And he literally did. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just stick him out and see who likes it and who gets mad, and
And I wanted to make a joke about that guy being blurred because his dick was out or something, but you said it was Pentagon, so I couldn't make that joke about my favorite wrestler.
Funny. Told me he's like, there's no way Eric blurred him himself. He definitely sent that to one of his guys.
Who said that?
Justin did.
That was true.
Well, yeah, no, because everyone was like, "Oh yeah, Eric just threw this thing up," and I was like, "No, it's a little more deliberate than that. I mean, it's
you got to blur a person out.
Like, it's not just like something he saw on his phone and uploaded 3 seconds later. It was a little more deliberate than that."
I saw it, and I was working because Ryan was working on this World's Toughest Race thing with me, and I said, "Hey, how long would it take you to blur a face?" I sent him the clip. He goes, "I'll send it right back," and literally within 10 minutes, I had it back, and then I put it up. And
so it was still pretty easy. It wasn't like super deliberate planning, some behind the scenes DVD tease or anything that, it was just, oh, this is cool. People will probably enjoy it.
I would have had to watch 2.5 hours of YouTube tutorials. So 10 minutes is pretty good.
I know, it's good to have friends like Ryan. And then when I sent it, I thought somebody's going to get mad at me for because somebody always gets mad at you.
I think you putting that clip out was the highlight of Ricochet's WWE career.
Wow.
No, he commented on it. He actually was excited by it. Yeah, he reposted it. Yeah.
That's the coolest thing he's done in a long time.
That was such a fun day, though. Like that, and when I look at that, I sort of remember that. I remember them telling me that they were going to do it, and a lot of times stuff like that I had to kind of clear with lawyers, and
oh shit,
of course,
I know, because it's MGM, and they're like, "Well, has he rehearsed it?" And I said, "Yeah, totally. He's totally rehearsed it." And so I remember, like, I think Carlos Vargas, the medic, we pulled those mats out and said, "Just do it once so we can make sure that you can do it." And I recorded it honestly, just to protect my ass if something went wrong. That was a complete like cover my ass clip. And then, but as soon as he did it, then Ricochet jumps up there. He's like, "I'm doing this too," and they did it each like 3 or 4 times. I just recorded it the one time, but but like people were getting in on the action. It was they were having a good time with that. It was fun.
When they were filming that,
in WWE, when Vince wants someone to do something crazy like that, he does the stunt to prove.
Oh yeah, Eric, that is true.
Yeah. No, I
no.
I've got some footage of me getting beaten up and slammed and punched and like I have Bill DeMott body slamming me and then doing a elbow drop from the top rope. I have a clip of that. That's pretty funny. And then I've got I think I've got.
I know Mill sucker punched you at a live event.
Oh yeah,
and then
he saw him grab you during a brawl once too.
That was not a sucker punch, guys. That's what you call in the business a potato.
That's true. And then I have some like rap party videos. I think of like Pimpinella assaulting me, and
that's a whole different kind of
that's a kind of assault right there.
And Mill body slammed me a couple times, and I think I actually have a footage of body slamming PJ Black and Taya. I have some footage of that too. But then like when I was doing boxing, I would try to spar with these guys. Like I have footage of Steve Forbes beating the shit out of me, and I have like Mayhem Miller beat the crap out of me once, and like so it goes both ways. Like there's an odd fascination when you can get in with somebody and just see what it really feels like to get punched by like a pro or get choked out by a pro or something. And granted, these guys are all being very generous with me, but they're just enough to let you know that I could really hurt you.
Oh yeah, go
Matt
back
Hughes,
and
Matt Hughes made Justin bleed.
Yeah, go back and watch UFC 126, and
where?
if you watch the very first prelim match of UFC 126, there's already blood on the octagon mat. That is my blood from the day before, from Matt Hughes wrestling me for about 15-20 minutes in the octagon, and Dana yelling at us afterwards for messing up his ring, and he left it there. I mean, literally at the very beginning of the pay-per-view, you see the blood in there, and that's the one where
I'm guessing that you didn't last 15-20 minutes.
Actually, I did okay.
Like he was,
but he's not telling you,
tapping you out like every 5 to 20 seconds, probably.
That blood was actually from the oil check he hit him with.
Oh, wow. That is really inappropriate. Thank you.
LuchaCentral.com.
There it is. LuchaCentral.com. Rate, subscribe, and review.
Tell all the kids in your neighborhood, watch and listen.
So Eric, I got to ask you this because I get the questions all the time. You can choose to answer this. You can choose to not answer this, but I have been asked maybe, 700 times since Lucha Underground went off the air about if Lucha Underground's coming back. When's it coming back? How's it coming back? And I typically tell people, like, look, there's a few really obvious things that are going on, which is, people have different rights to Lucha Underground, and you would probably have to wait for some of those to expire before anybody else could do something with the property. And B, whatever participants were still left that were in contract together would have to agree. And then that finally there would have to be a desire for it. And then of course the obvious one, which is that certain talent can never come back. So on a creative level, there would have to be a little bit of a reimagining of the world. A lot of people have said, Aerostar, alternate universe, maybe just forward in time something,
He steps on a bug, everything changes.
Well, and to me, that's the least of the concerns, because we know DJ and Roach, and even if DJ was off doing WWE stuff and wasn't available, there's a lot of great writers out there that could easily come up with a scenario to make it work. So I don't think that that's really the question. If there was desire and business stuff in place, it could obviously happen. But what would have to happen if there was to ever be more Lucha Underground?
Boy. I it's pure speculation on my part. So I'm not speaking in code. I'm not trying to be cute. I honestly don't really know. I think that it would require. My guess is it would need either a secondary broadcast partner or a new broadcast partner. I don't know that El Rey would want to necessarily get back into that again. I could be wrong. I mean, this is what I'll say. We're in an era in TV where stuff is being recycled all the time. I mean, I'm just finishing a show that had been off the air for 18 years. Last year, I did a 5th season of The Contender, and that had been off the air for over 10 years. So like, I would never say never, but I don't know that it would be like a continuation of. I don't know how it could ever be a continuation from season 4. Like you guys were chatting on Twitter about an origin story or no, somebody was, not you guys, but somebody was talking about a prequel. Like you could do that. You could
talk about him.
You could go back in time and go sort of old school Lucha 1970s. And there's probably something you could do with that, but nobody's like I'm not waiting around for it, and nor should anybody else.
Hey, that doesn't have to be the only underground fight league that exists in that universe, especially when Dario was like paying guys to wrestle Matanza on the side. That could have been a whole other underground fight league we never saw.
Yeah.
Just spitball on here.
I think there's certain elements of the show that aren't the characters that were just so great for fans, like the cause and effect, like the cinematic styles, like the type of storytelling. I think you could
I like to put it a certain way, Byron. You've heard this before. Fucked up people doing fucked up shit to each other. That's what we're there for.
I think you just described my reality TV career.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'll say this. I've thought about it a few times, and I think that I have a 3-phase plan that could actually make it work and make business sense and creative sense. But I won't broadcast that on the air. I'll send you that one later.
Because when I get the call, everybody is either going to be too expensive or unavailable.
Well,
so
and you and I, Eric, have had conversations about this kind of idea with other promotions, and so I won't even take full credit for it. But I think that there could be a way in a universe where the rights and the desire were there to actually do something that would be credible to the wrestling and television dramatic universe. But it is a pipe dream to a certain extent.
What do you think? Like how is all this COVID stuff going to change the touring business? Because that was our Achilles heel. We didn't have that. Is that even going to exist for the next 5 years? Who knows?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's really on hold right now. I mean, there's a pay-per-view tonight that's happening just from the same performance place that they were doing it before.
And their main event was pre-recorded yesterday.
Yeah, but at the same time, that could also mean that going forward, some of the things that Lucha Underground presented and some of the ways that Lucha Underground did things in a very controlled environment might be more applicable in this world, as opposed to less when it was like 5 years ago or 4 years ago when the indies were happening and everybody was trying to tour and get around, and WWE's doing 3 live events in different cities at the same time every week. Like, this might be a world where something other than that is a better business model finally. And it wasn't necessarily before. It was kind of the bane of Lucha Underground that these performers couldn't go out and tour and do what they were used to doing anymore. But now they're not doing it anyway. They're not doing house shows. They're just TV performers. They're just actors now.
And the reverse is also, people ratings are on broadcast and streaming are all way, way, way up. People are home watching TV. So yeah, you're not getting live audiences, you're not doing whatever, but you're actually drawing bigger audiences now. I mean, I know these shows like Survivor, and some of these other shows, their finales have been the largest finales they've had in 3, 4, 5 years, something like that, because, people don't have a lot of options but to stay home and watch TV. Now that may all change in a couple of months, but who's to say what's going to get greenlit in the next 6 months, if anything? I like fight shows and live audience shows and travel shows, and I don't see any of those happening for a while.
Hey, look, brother, I'm sitting at home right now from my Netflix show that's supposed to be going around to different restaurants and filming around the country. And they're going to put me back on the clock, I think, to basically rewrite everything that I just spent months in pre-production writing, to basically take out all of the restaurant scenes. It's just going to be our host and chefs, really, and just getting down on the food. And we're going to test everyone. And Netflix has been a great company because they're really, really actively involved in trying to figure out how to do it. And, this is a great, I won't even say guinea pig, but it's a good show for them to get back out because it is controllable with a smaller crew. But, you know, field productions are completely at a standstill. And then here in LA, we have one of the highest, you know, rates of transmission. So they're really scared to bring back, you know, in-town production. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to, you know, we're a bunch of TV guys. So I think we're all just kind of like, I
know. I always say no cameramen are working right now. A lot of editors are working right now. But I'm like, guys, if there's no cameraman working right now, what are you going to be editing in 6 months from now?
They're not. There's going to be this big gap. And that's one of the reasons why they're trying, like my production, they're really trying to get us back out. Because we're talking about Netflix. They're making money hand over fist right now. But they have a lull on their calendar now where productions got stopped in the middles, things they couldn't finish. Stars, they won't even be able to get back once things reopen. So it won't even just be 4 months late or 5 months late. Certain productions where, you know, when the schedule resumes, they're already scheduled to be shooting, you know, Mission Impossible 20 in France or something else. So they can't even go right back into production. I mean, that's going to create this huge void. And you know who's going to end up filling it? Reality TV guys.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think so. I also think there's going to be a lot of trying to figure stuff out, like the 2 million
maybe like small footprint kind of shows.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I think there's going to be too much arguing and trying to figure stuff out with all the unions, all of the big shows.
Yeah, the union thing just on the editors alone. You know, like
the shows that I would work on, they would just give us a camera and send us off, and you know, hope we come back.
Yeah,
I think that is going to come back sooner than the others, and that's going to keep going.
And I just don't know how, you know, it'd be interesting because there's no network or streaming service or anybody that will turn on a show that you can't insure, and you know, if you can't get insurance for these shows, they're not going to happen.
Right.
You know?
And that's a big part of it. And that's
a lot of insurance payouts happening right now with shows that have gotten pulled midway through, you know, Amazing Race and Survivor and a bunch of these other things.
But there's still shows that haven't stopped. Like there's cop shows that have not stopped. They're on now live, you know, and
is it essential work to follow somebody doing essential work? I mean, you're documenting it.
It wasn't for Byron.
Byron's was coming to a close anyway.
It also depends on the state. You know, Georgia doesn't have a lockdown. There's a lot that goes on there.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think it's very interesting, and I know we were talking about this a little bit when we had you and Skip on, but you know, the legacy of Lucha Underground and the footprint that it left is big, and in the wrestling world, between ECW and Lucha Underground, they were both these two kind of fringy different things, and they've created kind of a folklore and history to wrestling that I think have had a huge impact. And I think the world of wrestling right now is what it is in large part because of Lucha Underground. You've seen the people move on to being stars. You're seeing cinematic stuff more and more be acceptable in wrestling and the style and format. Just like after ECW, the hardcore thing and the rules kind of went out the window in all of the other promotions as well. And you now always have to pay homage to what ECW was by always having a match like that. Almost every pay-per-view has at least one no holds barred or ladder match. And now almost every wrestling promotion has luchadors and high flying stuff and cinematic.
And I couldn't be happier about both of those things. It's like my favorite things are all getting used now. Some of them capably, some of them not so much. Like definitely I prefer the way Lucha Underground was doing things to the way that people trying to pick up the slack are doing, but
you know, and that was largely, you know, you credit the guy who you had on just right before me, you know. I mean, that was Skip's vision of those things was fantastic, but you know, he was borrowing from Scorsese and he was borrowing from the Scott brothers and he was borrowing from Quentin. So, you know, it's sort of like, you know, we would literally say this scene should look like this scene in a Quentin Tarantino, this particular movie, or this scene should look like the murder montage in Goodfellas, and this scene should look like that's how Skip operates. And so, you know, everyone's borrowing from everybody. So it's nice to think that there is some sort of, fond remembrance of it. But it's TV. Everybody steals from everybody.
I love it. So when is your NDA up so we can shoot this the true story of Lucha Underground documentary that I want to make? I want the real grid.
Eric Van Wagenen shoot interview.
Do you have any more clips on your phone that you could send us?
Oh, this is terrible. Don't ask him stuff like that. He can't do that.
I mean, in general, just some cool videos of stuff.
I think I do. Like Lucha stuff. I think I have a couple more somewhere. Yeah. I actually have I think I have something of. I have to be careful though, because if guys are in masks and stuff, like I have who is it? It was Matanza and Mill practicing up on top of the office for the gimmick office when they went through.
Yeah, but we've seen their faces. We know what they look like.
Fine. They're fine.
It's kind of boring though, but everyone's like walking really gingerly around this hole, because I think the day before the shoot before when we gimmicked the other roof, a PA fell through and broke his leg.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And so it's just kind of funny. But you know what was cool about it? Honestly, what's cool about it is like Quinn, the director, is there with the cameraman, and Vamp and Vamp was definitely there, and I think maybe Chavo or somebody, the agents were there, and so the cameramen were right there with the wrestlers, who were right there with DJ in the middle, and there was like everybody was coordinating simultaneously what it was going to look like when it happened, and then the wrestlers are talking about how to fall through and how to, at what point to do this. And it's kind of a cool little moment where you see 3 different levels of things all happening at the same time.
It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, that shit ruled when it happened too. That was pretty nuts. Being right fucking under that was amazing.
Yeah, and people like Quinn did such a great job of telling the story through the camera, and they walked through every match, and the cameramen were out there, picking their marks and looking, and connecting with the wrestlers so that they knew, okay, I'm going to be here when this happens. And, we want to do this. And they would talk with the wrestlers about, when they were going to execute it. And it's just, it was really a well-oiled, machine that sometimes went a little haywire, but everybody was really cool about just reacting to things and making the most of it. And then, guys who come from the editing world are always like, hey, I got an Avid, I can fix it.
Hey, Eric, I want to ask you, we're going back and we're rewatching the entire series now, and we're pretty early on. In episode 3, we finally get Drago, Phoenix, and Pentagon Jr. in his traditional AAA attire even. And I really kind of wanted to ask you about that moment. Two things. And in episode 4 also, we see Phoenix and Pentagon face off against each other, and Drago gets the brand new Phantasma, who is Cuerno in Lucha Underground. So these 4 guys come up, and these are guys with plenty of hype coming out of there. But the first thing I want to ask you about is, I was super stoked on Drago. That was the guy that I really, really wanted to see. Pentagon, I had loved his stuff with Aussie Suicide, as everyone knows.
Where he just punked him out and made him his bitch every single match. That was the whole feud.
And I honestly
rip off his mask and like throw it into the crowd, and then he would cry, and it was tremendous.
I didn't know much about Phoenix at the time, but why did you guys decide to give him the push of those 3 guys? Because he goes over in that match, and then he goes over again with against Penta.
I think a lot of it was I think Vamp had a lot to do with that, because he knew these guys, and he knew them better than Chris had done his homework. Joseph had done his homework. We had gone down to Mexico and watched Triple Mania, and he had watched a bunch of their events and things like that, and that's kind of who I think both Vamp and Chris said, like, this guy's unknown. He's Penta's younger brother. He's crazy. He does awesome stuff. He hasn't been on a ton. He's like a mid-card guy in AAA, and we could kind of take him and make him our own. And I honestly, and he was just, I think it was just he came in at the right time. And on day one, he got up on that office and he jumped off of it, and we all just kind of went, okay.
And it paid off. We got grave consequences as a result of this push. And I'd say Grave Consequences was a single match most responsible for me getting people to watch the show. Personally,
I remember that one very well. That was one that like, I wasn't real experienced on hardcore matches like that, and I watched that one from inside the arena, and kind of was just like, watching it like this, like what is going on here? And I remember just kind of like that one, and when Pentagon and Vamp had their Ultima Lucha match, there was 2 times that season where I just kind of turned to somebody and I said, was that the best thing I've ever seen, or was that the worst thing I've ever seen?
You did that to us personally with Cage and Taya. Like, was that too much, you guys?
Because sometimes backstage you get a mixed reaction backstage. Like I remember with the Cage and Taya thing, I thought that was awesome, but there
were
a couple of people backstage that thought that the fact that Taya did that well, that made Cage look bad, and they were pissed.
Well, but that has always been a sentiment in wrestling, and you still hear wrestlers now saying some of those things, and it's not necessarily that it's sexist, but wrestling is based on this certain amount of realism that this tough guy could beat this tough guy, and then you put someone in there that looks like they could physically dominate against somebody who doesn't, and then they go over. It's always a question. It's always a question if a mini beats a regular size guy.
Let me just clarify that it was not Cage that said that. He was awesome.
Right.
He was great.
He was all in on that, on making Taya look great. So it was never Cage that thought that. It was some of the other people backstage thought that was a weakness of it.
Well, and I thought that was a great evolution from what you guys had established right off the bat with that. Like, look, anybody can show up here. Anybody could compete. I mean, that was done in like the first and second episode, basically.
We saw Taya when Chris and I and Josie went to Triple Mania, in 2014. We saw Taya in a match. And she blew us away. We were like, who is she? She's awesome. She got her nose broken halfway through and was just gushing blood. And she wrestled the match. And then she came backwards and just grabs a couple beers out of the waiting room and just, goes off. And she's trying to get her nose reset. And I think she'd won. I don't remember the full circumstances of it, but I just remember thinking, who is that? But at the time, she's this pretty blonde white Canadian chick who's down in Mexico. It's like, you can't bring her up as the face of Lucha Libre. It just doesn't make any sense. So from the beginning, we always said like, we got to get her up here because she's awesome. But we didn't want her, like, how bad would that have looked for us? Is like, we're bringing these Mexican Lucha Libre wrestlers up, and it's this blonde haired, pretty, white from Canada.
Canadian.
It would have been bad. I'm not gonna lie. When you brought her, was better.
Canadian.
Yeah, we brought her, and there was this whole thing, and she kind of took over. Like, there was a whole thing going on with Melina at the time, and John, and we just didn't want to get in all that drama, and so we brought Taya instead.
I remember we were really excited when she showed up. I think
that pop was amazing. Everyone knew who she was and lost their goddamn minds. It was awesome.
But she was one of the ones, I think, the whole first season, like, we always thought, oh, she might show up one day. She was one of the big gets that we're thinking, oh, it'd be so awesome. Maybe she'll show up this weekend. And then when she showed up, it was awesome.
Yeah, and we had to go kind of for authenticity, for the first season. So the guys like Jack and Helico and a few other guys, it's sort of like you can't bring in these blonde haired, blue eyed guys. That would have, even though that they're awesome and they could hang with any of the other guys from AAA. It just seemed less authentic for what we were trying to do.
Yeah, I think it was a good call. Okay, so here's the other thing I want to ask you about these early episodes, watching them again. Holy shit, I forgot how bad Penta got booed when he came out. And then he cuts his first promo, and this is for his one-on-one match with Phoenix.
His first promo, which was an absolute shoot.
Right.
It was no one respected him. and that he was here to prove himself.
And it was the first time he kind of gives his, my name is Pentagon Jr. I have zero fear speech, and it was totally different. He kind of muffed it a little bit, but
none of the Mexican promoters believed in me. None of the other Pentagons like me. All this stuff, and I'm like, that's from the heart right there, man.
It seemed like all the promos in the first few episodes were shoots, like Conan saying, "Yeah, we got the visa thing, we got the border thing worked out. Now they're here."
Yeah, it was a rewrite. Yeah, because the way it worked is the first few tape weekends we only shot one show a day. So like the very first day we shot, it was a Saturday, and I think we shot a total of 4 matches. One was a dark match, and then 3 were for the show, and then go home. See you tomorrow. Maybe there was a 5th. I don't remember. But, we were trying, but they were short days. They were under 2 hours. And so episode 1 was what we shot on Saturday. Episode 2 was what we shot on Sunday. And then by the following Saturday, all the guys from AAA had gotten their visas cleared and had gotten into the States. So they came. So we had to kind of come up with an excuse for why they weren't in 1 and 2 and then had shown up in 3. And so Chris just wrote it into that thing, and we reshot that line, I think.
We had trouble at the border. Sorry.
We reshot all of the vignettes for the first few episodes, like 3 or 4 weeks after we started taping. Because we did a cut of the show with the vignettes that we shot the day of, because originally we shot them like with the day of, and we, with just the same cameras we were shooting the wrestling with, and very little lighting and very little whatever. And John Fogelman, I told you, came, this looks like porn. This is crap. We're not. I said, all right, well, if you want to give us Skip Chase, I think I even said it like that, kind of sarcastic. Well, if you'd like to give us Skip to come direct them, they're all going to look like the promos that he cut. And he said, well, we're going to do that then. And I said, great, then do it.
Sold. Best business meeting of your life, Eric, right there.
Yeah,
that was it.
So we were like kind of chirping at each other. And John came through with Skip, and that was, the big, with the probably, the 2 Chris's and Skip were the 2 best hires we made. So, that changed everything. But we had to reshoot all those. There was an actual cut that existed with old promos that we threw out and then put together. I think we pushed our original air date 3 weeks, and we reshot and re-edited the first several episodes.
Well, Eric, you know how we asked you to send us some clips?
Yeah.
We really like to see the old porno version of the show.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it exists, but
some footage should be burned.
Do you have
and he was trying to deliver all these lines, and his English is not good. And it was clumsy. Conan was great. I'll say this: he was always really good on camera. He could deliver lines. He was a good actor. And of course Luis was great as well.
I mean, Conan was really kind of just being Conan though in a lot of those. Like his first vignette with Puma, where he's telling Puma hey man, you can only trust me in this business. It's like, I'm pretty sure Conan said that before. He
probably said it earlier that day to somebody else.
and believe me, I absolutely love Conan. I think he's been one of the best things for the business that's ever happened between ECW and Lucha Underground and MLW. Everything he's done, but
he was a big part of it early on. He really had a lot of influence in the way things.
But part of what makes him great too is he is absolutely a character, which is the wrestling personalities that we love. They bring a lot of that into real life. You don't necessarily know where the shoot stops and the work begins. It's in there somewhere.
The best gimmicks are the ones that are not really gimmicks.
I love it.
I do have to ask a question though. I do have to ask one question.
Ask away. We can barely hear you, Meef. Go for it.
Okay. Who do I have to thank for nixing Psycho Clown ever appearing on Lucha Underground?
Oh, this guy.
Oh, you don't like Psycho Clown.
Meef does not like clowns.
Probably Dorian, because I think at one point we had talked about him in season 4, but he couldn't get cleared. And the other thing is, he was doing all the heavy lifting on the AAA touring at that time. He was big in Mexico. They loved him, it seemed like. And so I don't know. You're giving me the stink eye. I remember just saying. I remember saying he's not available all the time. We would get that all the time.
He does a lot of cardio, bouncing around like a twat.
Wow. See, this is why we have Meef on the show, because he drops twat every once in a while, and every time it is hilarious.
It sounds way better coming from me.
No, like we can't say that. If I was to say the exact same thing with the exact same intention behind it, I would just be banned from broadcasting. But Meef can say it, and it's just really kind of cute and pleasant. I don't know.
He says other words too.
Yeah, mostly at you, Byron. So the rest
Yeah,
of
always at Byron. Actually, this is the first time it hasn't been directed towards Byron.
It's really fun because we're not live anymore, so I have to edit our episodes together, and I get to re-watch everything Meef calls me. That's such a pleasure.
English charm.
Well, and speaking of which, I do want to wrap up with Eric. We've kept him long enough, but I definitely want to thank you for coming by. It was great to have you and Skip talking a little bit, and it was great to hear kind of your perspective post Lucha Underground.
I interrupted his thing because I as soon as
we did that on purpose. Come on.
I'm interrupting cool Skip stories.
It's a classic MMM how many M's show gag where we bring you on in the middle of someone else's interview.
Eric, you know how reality TV works too. Sometimes you just push somebody into the shot and see what happens, man.
Yeah. Eric, have you ever seen the movie Yellowbeard?
Yeah.
Doesn't Byron look like him right now?
Oh God. I have a piece of tape over my screen over Byron, so I don't have to look at him during this.
It's funny. Brandon telling me what he'd get from the director in his ear. He'd be like, get that TJ Miller looking guy again.
You look like my brother, Byron. I have an older brother. Yeah. You guys have the same look. Like you guys could be, Akbar and Jeff or something. You two are twins.
Awesome. I'll see you at the next barbecue.
How about I give you that video instead?
You know what we really want, EV-Dub? We really, really want to get into the MGM prop room, and I want a kill shot mask, and I think everybody wants something. So whenever they want to release it, we don't care if it's charity donations or what. There's some stuff we gotta have, man.
I would like the bull for my desk.
Oh, dude, you don't know how hard I tried to steal that.
Yes, we do.
You guys know that story of the bull. It was great. How we were not supposed to use it, and then it turned into a murder weapon. I told that story, right? Yeah, the lawyers.
I forgot. I
basically Kelly, our set decorator, went to like a bunch of flea markets to get a bunch of old kitschy Mexican art stuff. She was going to she lives in Los Feliz, and she was going to literally flea markets to buy old crap to decorate that office. And so she brought that in, and like I said, we had lawyers back then who were like the junior lawyers who were really trying hard to be full-time. And one of them raised objection that we didn't have the artist who created that bull had not given us a release.
Oh, come on.
IP release to use that bull on camera. And typically everything that is on camera, if it's a photograph or a painting or whatever, you've got a release from the original artist saying it's okay to use this imagery. That thing was 50 years old and was probably sold on the border of Tijuana, for $4. And it was just one of those things where DJ and I wanted to be an asshole about it. So we could have easily just gotten rid of it. It would have been, but we were just like in the mood to be an asshole about it. And so we fought and like it was like emails back and forth and like there's no point in how we're supposed to find the original artist who created this, and if you go down to the border of Tijuana right now you can probably find 5 more just like it, and this is silly and complete. And so the directive then was, fine, you could use it but never feature it. so slowly it became like by episode 5 we'd start the shot with like Dario patting us. And that basically and it got more and more prominent. We would start sequences with a tide on the bull, and we just kept annoying them. And then when it came time where they needed a murder weapon, we said, let's use the bull.
And also a behind the scenes tidbit, Luis had a birthday and you guys had a big bull on the birthday cake as well.
So that was our inside joke of like an FU to the MGM lawyers. So,
awesome.
And even they started thinking it was funny after once the phone didn't ring from some artist in Tijuana, and the phone never rang, and we were okay with it. Then they just kind of forgot about it.
Well, they didn't get El Rey Network down there, but they get this podcast, so that phone call might still be coming.
Oh, Mexico, their version of the show like blurring things out a lot, like Carly. So it might have been blurred out in all the shots. We don't know.
Yeah, and if you go down to Mexico, all the Lucha Underground IP being sold in stands everywhere down there. So it seems like it would just be fair.
They go to the ring at AAA shows to like Guns N' Roses and like Thriller.
Hey, Byron, we don't tell people that. It just happens.
Yeah, that's just somebody slipped, hit the wrong cue. It's fine. It won't happen again.
Now, my favorite was
one where MGM and wrestling didn't quite jive. There were some seams there.
I have a question about your junior lawyers. Was there any reaction the first time one of them was doing the boring disclaimer before a show, and then a warehouse full of people started yelling bodily fluids at them?
Yeah, it was hilarious. We had one that we really liked that was there a long time, and she was the most serious, straight-laced lawyer. Like she's just all business, and then when the first time people started to she started to get over her character, and we were encouraging it. Like we were laughing hysterically. We'd be back in the control room, and what you guys would be doing with the bodily fluids. I mean, it was so hilarious. And people, I think Ultima Lucha, someone showed up with a sign that said bodily fluid.
Yeah, that was our friend J Ray actually, and he gave her the sign, which was even better.
Like the fact that she got over was one of the funniest things of the whole, because she hated that part of it. She hated that assignment. She's actually still at MGM. She's very high ranking now. She's worked her way up. And she's one of the top lawyers there. But we grilled her for several seasons and just tortured her and made her life miserable. But then she kind of earned her place in the family, and so now we all really love her and we like her. But we tortured her for a couple of seasons.
We broke your last one in Sparkles pretty good.
Oh, yeah. She had no idea what she was.
She had no idea what was coming, and then it was like the first day. I think I met her from Sue or somebody, and I just messed with her the whole time. I was like, "Oh, Sparkles," because she was wearing a sparkly jacket. I was like, "Wow, you wore a sparkly jacket to Lucha Underground, and you're gonna be in front of that audience. You are amazing." And by the way, you don't have any idea what's in store for you. So I just messed with her the whole season.
I think the number was 7. 7 production attorneys that over 4 seasons. Yeah.
Well, she's very happy now at Disney, so I don't feel bad at all. So
I think she is there. How do you know she is there? I think, right?
I know. Yeah.
Jim,
I haven't stopped making fun of her, Eric. I still mess with her. Are you kidding me? Every now and then, I'll just pick up the phone, bodily fluids, and then hang up.
They all go on to bigger and better things, but they at least they all walk away with a great story of the time I had to work the Lucha Underground tapings.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think Jim has actually seen her at the office because Jim works over at Marvel on the same lot. I think that's how we knew. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us, Eric Van Wagenen, executive producer, Lucha Underground. And
if I could just add one thing, wrestling lost a really, really great guy and a really great dad this last week, Shad Gaspard. And if I could push anybody, he's got a GoFundMe page that's set up for his son, Arya, and I'm sure the kid that his family could use the help right now. So I knew Shad personally. I wasn't his, we weren't best friends, but I didn't even know him through wrestling. I knew him through the gym, and our sons wrestled together, and so we would sit in the lobby of the wrestling club, and he would tell me the funniest stories and the craziest stories, and he was just a really, really decent, good guy. And he was impressive on a lot of levels, but I'll tell you, the thing that he was more than anything was an absolutely devoted father. And I always said, gosh, we should all be I wish I had the time to be the kind of dad that Shad was. And just a really, really good guy. And so I would encourage anybody, you want to help his son and his wife, there is a GoFundMe page going for him, and there's t-shirts you can buy where the proceeds all go to Chad's family. And just a really sweetheart of a guy and a gentle giant. And and we will all miss him terribly. And
we'll have the link in the comment section of this video
right,
so that people can donate.
Good, guys. Great to see you back in the air. It's fun having you back. When the World's Toughest Race Eco Challenge Fiji starring Bear Grylls is closer to airing, I will shoot you a trailer and you guys can analyze it, and then you have a reason to bring Skip back.
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, we're going back through every episode. We're going to have questions, comments, complaints, and Eric, we may have to call you up and ask you to come back.
Yeah, I have so many complaints. I just
you're not supposed to
this stuff.
You're not supposed to scare them. Well, we'll watch it for you. Don't worry.
See, Eric, it's all on Tubi TV right now, streaming for free.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, I'll have to go get Tubi.
Oh yeah,
big
somebody's getting those some of those oh god, what are the commercials they're playing now? It's like saying to vote against what's her name? That was the big one last time.
They're just programmed for you, Casey. Mine are all just like, right guard and stuff.
It's all like fleshlights and shit for you?
No. They know I have plenty of those. They don't advertise them to me anymore. So I can tell you guys this: as soon as Eric leaves this little window here, he's gonna go rate and subscribe and review to this new thread of our Mass Mats and Mayhem show on LuchaCentral.com and at iTunes and all the fun places we are on Spotify.
Yeah, because all our feeds changed, and we need you guys to do that all again.
And if Eric Van Wagenen can do it, so can you.
Yeah. This is the fastest I've ever been able to join. There was one button I was in. I didn't need approvals and emails and passcodes and any of that other bullshit you guys used to put.
Hey, dude, man, we're upgrading. Everything's got to get bigger and better until you get to a season 4.
We're actually paying money for this one, so it's better.
Well,
by Byron. Byron's paying money.
Money Mark.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
See you later.
Stay safe, boss.
Eric. Thank you. That was awesome.
Lucha-Masks.com by Pro Wrestling Revolution, bringing you in partnership with Masked Republic, the Lucha Brothers, as well as Japanese legend Ultimo Dragon. Go to Lucha-Masks.com and fight Lucha Strong with masks from your favorite Lucha legends and Pro Wrestling Revolution luchadores. Stay safe in style and represent your favorite luchador. Get yours now at Lucha-Masks.com, powered by Pro Wrestling Revolution.
You know what, Justin? That bleeding anus joke, I'm very proud of it, and I'm so glad that Byron didn't edit it out of the episode.
What? We might still.
But deeply affected him. So
okay, he's scarred for life now. I don't know if we can.
Literally scarred.
Can we put like a long bleep over it or something? But anyway, moving on. That was Eric Van Wagenen. You heard it from the man himself. There is still a road to more Lucha Underground, but right now, it's just not really on a lot of people's radars.
It's just like Cormac McCarthy's The Road. So it's depressing and bleak.
But I will say this.
Chris Rears.
I will say this. I will let you guys in on a little tidbit of information that if you are a Lucha Underground fan and you're feeling nostalgic, that there may be some things out there that will help you with your levels of nostalgia. So be on the lookout. Follow these guys on social media. Follow at Skip Chasen on IG.
Yes.
Follow at Eric Van Wagenen on Twitter, especially. Like the same place where he posted that cool clip.
At MPOS Official on Twitter.
Follow Chris DeJoseph and Chris Roach. Though I will say, don't follow Chris Roach if you don't mind a few kind of left-leaning tweets every now and then.
No, those are the best parts. Those are the best parts, okay? But
they really are entertaining. I mean, Chris goes in. He goes hard, man.
Don't follow Chris DeJoseph unless you're going to send him a DM accusing him of coming up with the Katie Vick angle, which is totally true. We broke that news here on this podcast.
Ooh, I'm telling. All right, we got to talk about some Lucha Underground. I mean, we've been talked about it, but let's talk about an actual episode. Let's talk about season 1, episode 5 of Lucha Underground. Because
I'd rather talk about 7 episodes ahead from now. Can we do that instead?
No, we'll get there.
What I want to talk about is how Chavo showed up, took his shirt off, and he was fucking jacked.
Chavo's ripped, bro. Chavo's ripped.
Have you seen him recently?
Yeah,
he's back at it again.
Ripped. Yeah, he's more ripped than he was there. So
look, word to the wise: don't quarantine a Guerrero because them motherfuckers will hit the weights. Like he's not playing around.
I think he's got to have a dope home gym. Like it's got to be pretty legit.
I always think it's funny because Chavo started off as cruiserweight, and he's always been kind of in that sort of, you kind of put him in that sort of grouping. But when he lines up against almost any other wrestler that he's worked with, Chavo has bigger biceps.
I don't feel
bigger
like
arms than almost any other wrestler that you'll see him work with.
I mean,
honestly,
dude, if you were going to be on the road though with Eddie back at that, like at the height of Eddie's yokedness, there, like that's just going to get in your head of like there's constant competition there to like come out looking yoked. Come on.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't understand this kind of drive because I ate Chili's before we did this podcast, and
you got nothing wrong with that.
It's pretty dope.
What did you eat from Chili's?
Oh, the chicken crispers, along with fries and corn on the cob, and a side of awesome blossom petals. You can't get the real awesome blossom anymore. You can get the petals.
I just fucking hate you. Wood Ranch last night, Chili's today. Fuck you, man.
I'm sorry. I eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches the rest of the time.
Good.
Exclusively.
Good.
Yeah,
I don't want to see any pictures of tacos, or I'll kill you all.
Oh, I'm making tacos tonight, man. I got like carne asada marinating downstairs right now.
Oh, I have a bone to pick with everyone though, because I'll
marinate your carne asada, Justin.
I bet you will.
I've been trying to get us to be the leading Lucha Libre mukbang podcast. I'm throwing in the hashtags and our YouTube keywords and everything, putting us up on the blogs. No, here we go.
Keep going. I just want to know what you're talking about.
I refuse You're going to get us copyright claimed. Me? Fuck.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That was too good of a rendition.
Careless whisper.
This is good stuff. Hold on, I'm going to go get my Chinese food.
Penis?
I don't ever want to dance.
I got to talk about an episode of Lucha Underground.
Feet have got no rhythm.
Sexy Star came out. They had a match.
Speaking of penises, Masquerita Doradas on this one.
Oh,
even.
What
did I do?
Have you ever seen firefighters practice hose lays?
Yes.
You guys? Yeah, that's what Masquerita has to do every time he takes a piss.
So, does Conan start with Dario, or is it the Son of Havoc match?
Conan.
Time is a construct.
Time. You don't have notes in front of you? Conan, Dario.
I do. I wrote my notes.
Sorry. No one emailed me. No one emailed me a format today. I'm
set up for the Boyle Heights street fight, right? That's where this.
Yeah, I thought that was a great little power, matchup between the two of them around just the drink.
Well, yes, the two things I really like about this scene are I think everyone showing up at the temple where it actually was in the hood is now you're actually making the temple part of the character, and the fact that it's in the middle of Los Angeles here in Boyle Heights, because it's a crazy weird neighborhood. Like, it looks a little residential in spots, and it looks totally hood in others, and it looks like warehouse industrial in parts of it. And
yeah, which is where the temple was warehouse industrial. But I mean, you get that from the inside, but we've been there. It's next to a corner that we call Poo Corner that smells a lot like feces.
I mean, it's really kind of like a Hell's Kitchen in the 80s kind of vibe, where it's like you can walk through there, but it might be kind of rough, but it might be cool. Like, that's really what Boyle Heights is, right?
Maybe just do it at daytime.
And so, there's
Billy
Billy.
Oh, she tried to go for the face. I saw that.
Just so you guys know, and the people who are listening to this, Byron has brought his cat Billy Fever on camera, and it's really the only reation we keep Byron on the show is so that Billy can occasionally make.
I've actually trained her in kill commands. Billy, Vasa. Billy, Vasa.
She goes into that mode when she's around you. What's up, everyone? Look how cute she is.
And I do like the interplay. I do like the interplay with the glass of scotch here. I think that was really, really well done. And again, this goes to the fact that you've got a seasoned performer with Conan who knows how to cut promos, one of the best in the business at cutting promos. And then you've got a professional actor sitting across from him. And the dynamic that you have in this scene just works great. And it's like, you want to see these two on camera together more.
Yeah, dude, that scene was dope, and him punking him out by stealing his drink was fucking hilarious.
That was awesome. Well, especially after he's like, "Yeah, I don't want your drink," But then, if you know anything about negotiating in the art of war, this is the way to do it. You don't drink the one that they pour for you. You drink the one that they pour for themselves.
And Justin, what the fuck are you drinking?
That is a snozzberry beverage of some type.
The snozzberries tastes like snozzberries.
Do we have
Don't
a
Violet.
sponsorship yet?
What?
Do we have a Snozzberry sponsorship yet?
No, that's why I said snozzberries instead of the actual name of what it was. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Meef, don't you dare make jokes about eating Lotus right now. Do not make those jokes, Meef.
Okay, so for people who don't know, like behind the scenes, Byron produces a ton of this show. Like, I do an executive producing thing. Like, I just say, hey, man, why don't we do this? Or, hey, man, why don't we do this? But Byron does like all the real work. So, Byron, while you're doing the real work this week, write down that we need a beverage sponsor, we need a ball sponsor, and we need some type of snack sponsor.
Oh, dude, we need like
snack
Doritos.
Dude, we should get a sponsor.
Maybe an alcohol sponsor too, like some kind of tequila or
I don't drink though, dude. How am I going to benefit from that? I don't drink.
Weed sponsor?
Some hair in your
no,
chest.
I don't smoke weed either. I like eating some fucking snacks. Dude, how about a
mutilation wood chipper sponsorship?
Some kind of beef jerky.
So it's a multi-cotton.
Beef jerky. We said a snack sponsor. Okay.
But no, dude, like the buffalo jerky that's supposed. Oh wow, my dog.
What about stamps?
We get that here.
What, stamps.com? I mail things. Okay, going back to the episode. Mil Muertes versus Drago.
Yeah.
Just straight up, I agree. Straight up, yeah.
Has Max Striker got a cold in this one? Max Striker sounds weird.
Yeah, and his nipples look like they could cut glass. I think he was cold.
Have you guys ever seen the James Spader movie Secretary?
Yes.
No, I refuse. I refuse.
Oh, you need to watch it because even though like Katrina is way more visual than Maggie Gyllenhaal.
If I was Carly and I just got compared even favorably to Maggie Gyllenhaal, I would.
But it's not the A to B comparison that I'm talking about so much as inhabiting the character. She comes out in like this secretary kind of outfit this time with like the pin skirt and the top and pushed up a little. It's a different look than she's done on the show so far, and she doesn't really do it much later either. It's not ghostly enough. Well, they're still kind of figuring that out, but I like the process of figuring this out with Carly. I'm not going to lie. Carly, please come on the show because I would love to talk to you about the wardrobe choices that they made for you in the first season.
He just said you look like Maggie Gyllenhaal. Tell him to go fuck himself.
He hasn't seen that movie though, man. That movie even makes Maggie Gyllenhaal sexy. You got to watch it.
That's a great movie.
Nah, dude, look, I only watch movies with people getting killed in fucked up ways. Shout out to Cannibal Holocaust being on Joe Bob's Drive.
Oh, what a...
Byron, get out the red pin so we can spank Casey and move on.
Drilled it.
Right. Casey, spanking sponsorship.
Sweet, thank you.
One of those boards with like the holes in it, but we could have like our logo.
I can make you one.
When you hit the ass, it puts the MMMshow logo in it.
I can make one now that I've got my leather work going on.
Yes.
I can, make one.
Because Meef is moonlighting as Rob Halford, and he is going to make head-to-toe leather outfits for all of us.
Wait.
Whoa. Leather Rebel!
If you're working with leather, do you know how to do studs yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. We're good then.
He knows how to do this. He knows how to do this stud right here.
Because there's this paddle shape that I have with these. Anyway, moving on. King Cuerno is also
podcast is fucked up.
King Cuerno is also watching this match from on top of high.
Yeah, I heard him actually say it was crank time when he sat down.
I don't think that happened.
Oh,
but he probably would have if someone asked him what time it was.
Is there a way to say crank time in Spanish?
No, you guys know that like every time CM Punk came to the ring, he'd go, "It's crank time."
No, busy with all the female wrestlers he's ever seen in his life to have to.
Anyway, yeah. So the hunter, we've had the setup for this character, and now the hunter is actually on the. I just have to keep going. There's just nothing else I can do sometimes.
No, but this is like the first time they did the lurking type of.
I believe that's called stalking. When you do it, it's called lurking. But he's stalking his prey. You are just a stalker.
When I do it, it's called checking in, but without disturbing it.
It's called grounds for schools. Yeah, it's called grounds for a restraining order.
Look, man, if Byron wants to put on a mask and just stand around, it's fine. It's a free country. It doesn't matter if it's outside of our window or not.
And I will say this. I've been through the entire Megan's Law website. Byron is not on there. So we do our background checks here. Everything is cool. There's no issues. Everything is fine. I don't want anyone to be worried. And any restraining orders out there are just one-to-one between him and the individual. It has nothing to do with the show.
I'm pretty sure that site's only for California. He's in New York now for how long?
Look, I just do what the lawyers tell us we have to do to get on the air. So we've done that.
Okay,
I just want everyone to know that.
We did due diligence is what they call it.
Yes.
We don't talk about his time in Guatemala.
All right, let the man speak for himself.
What I would love is for one of our listeners to tweet us at Byron Fever, the official tweet of the show, or MMMshow 75. And if you have a counter or a clock or anything, let us know how long we've ever been on at a time.
So I fell asleep.
Be sure to follow at MPOS Official and let us know.
Anyways,
what topics you would like us to talk about.
There's this great match.
It's a different podcast.
Drago versus Mil Muertes. He's
Drago.
1,000 deaths.
You're gonna call him Drago instead of Drago? You get fucking. Is he Russian? Is he fighting Rocky Balboa? Fuck.
I mean, look.
Matt Stryker called him Dragon on commentary.
He was
just have it in for Stryker. You're just mad that he's still currently the line champion of the name game.
That's true.
Just because that's true. Going to shows.
I mean, I know it was a technicality, but anyway, we're moving on. Yeah, the match was great, and I think at this point in time, bookings are logical. And Drago does not beat Mil. That's not going to happen at this point in time yet. But it was a good match.
He had a reason though. He was distracted.
Yes, and Katrina actually gets involved a little bit in this match too, and this is the first time we've seen any real physicality from her as well, which I like. You're going to put a valet or manager at ringside. Just in general, I feel like if you're going to put a valet and a manager at ringside and they're going to have a confidence, especially if they're a heel manager, there's two ways to approach it. Either they're the cowering in fear, run away, almost Bill Alfonso kind of did that sometimes, or they're the type that is not afraid to get involved and they're going to help their guy win at all costs. And I think
I see you justifying what you said, but I've seen your notes, and they said, and I quote, "Step on me, mommy."
Katrina, secretary, step on me, mom. Oh yeah, it's in here.
Yeah, those are all
step on my
tweets.
Manscaped balls. That's what it says.
They're not yet.
They're not shaved. Recently.
Yeah. By the way, we desperately need.
It's like Velcro. It's like Velcro. It's not a trade. It's a trademark, not an actual description.
Please don't send us into summer with sweaty, hairy balls.
Thank you. That is the best said thing on this entire show. That is the entire point of this show.
You know who's a good wrestler?
Whoever's in the next segment.
Wait. Let me.
Balls Mahoney.
Yes, Balls Mahoney. Yeah, agreed.
Balls.
Listen, you just want to say balls in the show more. I get it. Listen, this was the first time the lick of death, I think, was really an intentional thing. It was booked that way. She did it. They called it the lick of death. And Drago got to be the lucky recipient of that, and I think it was well deserved. And
Carly got a mouthful of all the makeup and spit and tongue slime and all that shit that was on Drago.
But I've even heard her say at times, even from this one, that she was fine with it. She didn't care. It worked with the gimmick, and it was totally cool. She was really happy about the presentation of the whole thing. Like, I think she was happy to have a gimmick to pull off.
No, and this whole gimmick is dope. I just wish we were more clear that she was a ghost of this. Well, she starts teleporting. So
it's the show's still new. They're still doing telenovela camera work backstage or in the vignettes. You know, they're still finding their way. Like, we haven't hit Aztec Warfare. You know what we have hit? The next segment, which is
Johnny Mundo vignette, where he gives you Johnny gimmick name reasons, and we can move on.
Yeah,
but he gets a package.
It's so forced. Like
you know who else has a package is Masquerita Sagrada.
Well, right. but look, the reason for the
babyface,
the reason for the Mundo package makes sense because they're setting up the parkour thing. They want you. Yeah. They want you to feel that Johnny's parkour is what puts him on the level of the real Lucha Libre guys. And I get it. They have to drive it home a little bit. I didn't like it that much. I didn't.
This is Lucha Libre. This isn't fucking Assassin's Creed. First of all, second of all, this is where it was still feeling like a regular ass wrestling show to me. They're still doing upcoming matches. We're getting this Boyle Heights street fight. Oh, here's a package on Johnny Mundo. Hey, here's a recap of what happened last week. We're going to lose all of that soon, and I cannot wait because I'm tired of seeing shit and hearing shit about shit I already watched. Give me new shit.
The good news is they go right into one of the real Lucha Underground vignettes with Mil Muertes and Katrina talking to Dario. And Katrina is, yes, there's some mysticism here. She's also signaling to Dario that she knows more than that he may want about the darkness that lurks within him or that he's keeping secret or whatever. Obviously, kind of a veiled reference to Matanza.
Oh,
I right? Matanza?
Yeah, that was cool.
I thought it was like some kind of weird sex fetish.
No. No. I don't think Roach wrote this one, so I think this was just the straight up thing.
Do you know what the bull symbolizes?
What does the bull symbolize?
I'm not gonna look it up on Urban Dictionary. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no, I think
But if you mess with it, you get the hold.
Speaking of them trying to like use parkour to make him hang with the Lucha Libre style, it's just he had a lot to prove at this point too. He had a lot to prove, and he's coming on to someone else's ground, and he looks super cool and he acts super cool. But he hasn't proven anything yet in Lucha Underground. It's a natural heel dynamic, and it makes all the babyface stuff feel so forced. And
but he is cutting a little bit of a babyface promo, saying that he's not in this promotion to be told what to do and this, that, and the other thing, and to play along or whatever he says. I mean, he's cutting a little tiny bit of heat on WWE at the time, but not a ton.
We're still a wrestling promotion by this standard, though. Like, we're not an underground fight club. He's like, I'm here in this wrestling promotion. See,
to prove that I'm better than what they thought in the other wrestling promotion.
Yeah,
you're right. He's saying that.
It's not like, yo, dog, I'm in this underground fighting thing just because I like to fuck people up. And, I'll fight a ghost if I have to. See, no, he doesn't say any shit like that. That's kind of stuff you should be saying in Lucha Underground. Like, yeah, I'll punch a dragon. I'll suplex a ghost. I'll kick Slender Man in the fucking dick and balls. I don't care.
Well, by the end, he's putting on, the power glove and jumping around. Like,
true. Like, they definitely went a different place by the end. All right, let's get into...
I love the power glove. It's so bad. That was for Jim. I
want to talk about
is this the hog match?
The team I like to call Eric Van Wagenen's Team Tough Enough, which is made up of Matt Dog Cross and Evilise as Son of Havoc and Evilise. Evermore.
Everlease as
Everlease.
She was called the first week.
Well, I mean, the spelling was so weird that people just never know how to read it. It's like Evalis, whatever. But anyway,
Cicada.
This is still in their heel days.
You just called her a grasshopper, bro.
Did I?
Yes, I did.
Sicara?
Sicaria.
Beef. How do you say in Spanish?
Sicaria. Not to be confused with Sicario.
Sicario. You called her a fucking cicada. You called her a katydid, and
doesn't work. And
good match.
They're up against a very big challenge this week that two of them may not be able to even accomplish. They're up against Masquerita Sagrada
and his penis.
Yes. It was a great match. It's super weird to see Son
It's a great penis.
As like that heel, that stereotypical heel, bad guy.
I kind of didn't like how it was a handicap match in favor of the good guys, because so you had Evilise and Son of Havoc,
right?
Two people. You had Masquerita, his penis, and Sexy Star,
right?
Like that's 3-on-2.
Well, but then Black Lotus comes down at the end too, so that's kind of like
and
evening it back out.
Vampiro just I want to call HR for that call.
I gotta say,
hey brother, she's so hot. I don't know why the fuck she's here or who she is. It was hilarious. That's pretty much what he said, and I laughed so fucking hard.
Angela Fong, poor woman. Wait, what was her WWE name? Like Savannah or something? It's totally strange.
Yeah,
it
was Savannah.
Remember. I don't remember.
I barely remember it. All I know is when she showed up, I was like, "Oh, I know her from somewhere."
Yeah.
But that was just like, I don't know who the fuck this is. Oh.
That was a cool debut though. That was a cool. There's a lot of restraint. She shows up and then she leaves.
She starts masquerading as crew members and shit. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I think it was kind of interesting.
Cable side at some point.
And it was fun to see her and kind of be like, okay, well, here's another former WWE talent that wasn't huge, but like has a little bit of credibility. Like, why? My initial thought was, why is she here? What's she going to do? Are they going to use her like they were using Carly, who had wrestled before, by the way? A lot of people don't even remember Carly wrestling at this point, but she was actually not half bad either. As Maxine or whatever her name wasn't that?
Yeah, wasn't she involved in one of the worst matches ever?
Yeah, but she had some great ones too.
Who isn't? You know.
But at the same time, but that was kind of what I was thinking about Angela being in there too. Of like, how are they going to use her, and what's this character? We didn't even know it was Black Lotus. But
and they made her a cool fucking ninja. It was awesome.
It was a good idea. Now, I also got to go back to Son of Havoc in this match because it's super duper weird for me at this point. I'm looking at this Italian homie from Cleveland who used to wrestle forearm brawler style, who's been through a little bit of the WWE system, but totally didn't make it. And now he's shown up as this kind of weird character who's doing Lucha Libre. And I have to say, in this match, he actually did Lucha Libre. It wasn't half bad.
You know what, Justin? He would respond to that with a question. You know what that would be?
What's that?
Would you fuck me?
I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard. I push the lotion on his skin and I'll hose you.
Was she a great big fat person?
He's the nicest guy. He's one of the biggest underdogs.
Look, you know how we do on this show.
Everybody hates you. Goodbye, bye.
I absolutely love Matt Cross
horses.
As a person and an individual, but just like everyone else, that does not mean it can't even do that.
They're coming home to you.
It doesn't mean you get a break on this show. I'm sorry. Like, if it's good, it's good. I'm going to say it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. And I'm going to say it's bad. And there's plenty of bad coming from Son of Havoc coming up on this series. And I love the guy and I like Matt Cross as a person and I have no beef against the guy. But at the same time, when I see him do good things like this, I have to say I'm actually surprised. Like, I don't want to be surprised. I want to think, oh, yeah, every time Son of Havoc shows up, it's going to be great. But it is not. This time, I thought it was great. I loved it.
I don't even want to hear about this poor man's Son of Madness.
We're not there yet. Hopefully, we get stricken out by COVID before we have to cover that angle.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
So
that got dark. Oh.
Some good dives and then a clean pin on Son of Havoc.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Did he cross the legs when he hooked him?
Did he tuck his wiener between his legs when he crossed his legs?
I don't know.
I thought it was great. I thought it was just another great match that really highlighted how much fun Masquerade Sagrada's matches are, and also it got over Ivelisse and Son of Havoc.
It kind of did. It got over Eric Van Wagenen's Team Tough Enough. And I think that if you were going to have Masquerade go over on somebody at this stage of the show, this was pretty much the only way you could really do it.
Did you guys hear the story of the behind the scenes of this match, though? Like the part that got cut out?
What got cut out?
Okay, so Son of Havoc grabbed the mic and he's like, oh, put the lotion in the basket or it gets the hose again. And then Masquerade is like, I got a hose right here. And then he starts doing like helicopters and lassos and shit. Like fucking lassos. Like
the sprinkler.
Rumor mill. All right. The match you've all been waiting for. Sexy Star versus Chavo.
Thank God. Thank God for that skip button on Tubi. That skip ahead 10 seconds.
Now, but look.
Hey, there's Penta. All right.
I I like that they tried to at least make it realistic that it wasn't going to be some athletic competition between like a veteran who's been a champion every place he's ever been and Sexy Star. Like they didn't even go there. It was like if she wins, it's going to be dirty. And you know, the most important part of this match is that Sexy Star took the high road. When she had a chair in her hand, she still nut-shotted Justin Borden instead of using the chair on him. And I appreciate that. Big face pop. If you're trying to put the woman over, that's the way to do it. I love that. That was my favorite part of the match.
Honestly, you just want to see people named Justin get CMBT.
No personal desire. Let's just call him Borden from now on. Then
they thought there's a big receipt.
People think we're talking about Sting. You know, if we say Borden, people think Sting, and it's just no one wants to see Sting get CMBT because he's all about Jesus, and Jesus ain't down with that shit.
No,
I do have a little problem with the way this angle kind of went right here. In watching it, of that Pentagon running in on behalf of Chavo when all we've heard for 3 episodes is Mexico is coming. And then the first part of this thing that we see play out is a Mexican wrestler supporting Chavo. Even though he's a Rudo, I get it. And they're trying to kind of build up the Rudo-ness and the story is going somewhere.
Yo soy Mexico, Chavo.
That was confusing. And Vampiro in, you know, the same breath said, you know, that exact same thing. And it was a weird way that they're trying to get through that story point.
Did he even do a move?
Those guys, Vampiro and Striker, I think, would send in pickups for their announcing play-by-play through their cell phones. So every once in a while, you could kind of hear it.
Yes, that is actually true.
That's weird.
I think I heard the toilet flush while Matt was talking, actually, and some Bejeweled and the toilet flushing.
One of my favorite podcast moments ever was when Bobby Heenan was.
I've been meaning to ask you something. I've been meaning to ask you something. I didn't notice it on this episode or the previous one, but the very first 3 episodes, a fucking eagle sound. Yeah, I kept on hearing this. I was thinking, is that some dickhead in the crowd? Yes. I just kept on hearing this, like, and then
it was.
I guarantee you that was fucking Marco.
Yeah.
That sounds like something he would do.
I'm pretty sure that's actually somebody in the crowd that sits on the other side.
I'm gonna ask Marco now.
I think it was Marco because he had this thing he would do when people would pick up somebody heavy, where he would do this sound that's like, oh god, it was so great.
I will also say this. I would say this about production of this episode. This is the first one that they were using the hard camera on the left side very regularly. I don't know if it was there in any of the episodes before this. I don't know if they put a little more budget into this one, but this is the first time you really see the hard camera from the left side.
Then they
pointing out
the
caged bleacher section.
Yeah, which sucks because when I was watching the show and went to go to a taping for the first time, I thought if I sat over in that cage bleacher section, I'd get on TV, and that's when they completely stopped shooting the angle again.
They went back and forth throughout the history of Lucha Underground using that camera and that angle, but I think this is still the point in time when they've pulled everyone off the apron, and they're still trying to figure out how to get those shots that they wanted. I wish we'd asked Evie Dub about that one, but
we should have him back. I wonder when the new Jib guy shows up.
This is still the very original Jib, and the Jib is also on the left side for this episode.
Yeah,
as well.
It's
the
backwards.
Jib has moved. Yeah,
I don't think the Jib moves until the ladder match.
But you do see some of the straight down angles, which they kind of left until for very specialty shots until later. But there's some decent Jib stuff in there. All right, moving on.
They put a GoPro up top, I thought, for the bird's eye.
For the listeners that don't know what a Jib is, it's one of the Ewoks from Endor.
Jib.
In Return of the
Jib. No. Anyway, so
that's Byron's an Ewok.
Penta comes in, and then Phoenix comes in with the flying dragon off the ropes and kicks Penta in the head with the chair. Phoenix still getting over on Penta 3 episodes into their run. I'm kind of loving it.
You know what? I didn't like that Penta lost, but I do have to give a shout out to the Van Daminator that was done by Phoenix. Oh, look at that. It says Mr. Monday Night by Mr. Tuesday Night, Professor Casey.
All right. I can feel all that. So finally, we get to the big show-stopping match that you've always wanted to see. Big Rick versus Puma in a Boyle Heights street fight.
Hey, some cool shit happened in this match.
No, this one is good. Like, if you're gonna do this is better than what they did the week before with Big Rick and Mundo. This is like, let's get the plunder in there. Let's have some fun. Let's have it be ganging up on them. Like, let's go a little more nuts with it. And this felt like a good addition, actually, to Lucha Underground for me. Being an ECW fan, I'm not gonna lie. You see this man over here in the Sabu hat, so that part coming into the whole thing I thought was well deserved. So
I just thought what kind of smart manager books a Boyle Heights street fight against a gang of 3 people basically when you only have one dude.
I
think it's a smart man. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, even though this aired years ago, just instinct, I kept wanting to think that Conan was about to walk down with his cane and start hitting some people.
Dude, I wanted to see him fuck people up with the cat. Oh, we got another cat. This one's attacking him. It's attacking him.
Everyone's got cute kitties.
Oh, she's shitting on his head.
Meeves Cat has joined the show now for the audio listeners.
Hello, Meeves Kitty. Hello, kitty.
This is episode review of this cat. What's this cat's name?
What's that cat's name?
Never mind.
Zorro. That is Zorro.
Zorro.
He's got a little black mask.
Oh, I dig it.
Very cool.
What I was going to say, though, is I think that this is exactly what a manager should do.
We have to call the cat Christoph El Profeta because it's not legal. You don't own the rights to Zorro.
Stop it. That's a good joke, though.
In the UK, we use that.
Yeah, we're in the UK. Different rights issues over there. Okay, so what I was saying, though, about Conan is I think this is exactly what it is. I think that he's sending Puma in there
to die.
To remind him of what the streets he came from are like. Like, look, brother, you're either going to come out of this a winner or you're going to come out of this knowing that this game ain't no bullshit. Get in there and do your thing. And if they team up on you, so be it. That's how we do in the streets.
I think it's great. Johnny Mundo waited until they murdered Puma for a good 75 minutes before coming in to help.
Well, and speaking of coming in to help, we get the full parkour off the roof on this one, as you guys heard cool. Evie Dub talking about these kind of moments. This is the tremendous shit that nobody expected or planned for to happen. They did kind of go through it ahead of time, but at the same time, like this is the crazy shit. We're doing spots off of a thing that was not meant to do spots off of, and he pulled it off great.
People saw that.
It was awesome.
People just saw that. Went fuck it. I'm jumping off that.
Yeah,
Aerostar was somewhere.
I mean, so we've already had the one dive where there's a catch to it, but this is like all the way to the ring, which is a longer clearance with no catch.
He just lucha rolls out of it. Just
yeah. I mean, he really shows his actual parkour skills there.
Yeah, dude.
As previously mentioned in the promo.
So he comes off the top, cleans house, and then he accidentally chair shots Prince Puma.
Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about professional.
And then Puma
wrestling.
goes through the table. Now we can discuss.
You know something, Justin? Since the dawn of man has had to do 2 things for survival. They either fought for their life or they ran for their life. But never at one point did they jump off a building and get away.
Okay. I'll buy it.
Someone's going to have to have listened to this show for 3 hours on this episode to get to that.
And speaking of which, if you've listened this far, I know you're one of our true denizens of deliciousness, and that you will go, and when this is finished, you will rate, you will subscribe, you will review, you'll click a thumbs up, whatever platform you're listening to or watching this on. Please give us some love on there because we definitely want to keep everyone happy. We've got a great partnership going with LuchaCentral and Mass Republic. So we want to keep that good. And we also want to give them the opportunity to be able to bring in sponsors and make sure that we can keep these shows free and on the air. And there's a lot of great programming here on the LuchaCentral Podcast Network. So
remember our podcast, when you go to rate and subscribe, it's called Another Miserable Podcast.
No, guys, that's not this show.
Oh, no.
Other show too, but damn it, make sure you take care of
all of our feeds right now that are advertising other shows. Oh no, Kevin's doing it. What were you saying, Justin?
Yeah, that's another show that you definitely should listen to too. But this is a new thread where we've got new places to hear the show, and we definitely need your help and your love out there. Please, especially on iTunes, give us a rating and give us a review on there. They actually factor that stuff into the stats on iTunes.
Because we were number 69 in wrestling podcasts, which was dope, and we should just stop right there. But
and we've been kind of moving up and down, but you know, we definitely love the support from everyone, and definitely on YouTube too. Click the link, watch the video, watch it in two places too. If you leave it on in the background, don't even watch it the second time. We don't care. But since Eric Van Wagenen was on this episode, you'll probably want to go back and hear some of that stuff again. Do it on a second platform. Give us another hit. Don't do it in the same place with a rewind.
Lucha Blog, when you're recapping what Eric said, Lucha Blog, I know you're listening. I love you, brother. Watch it on like 3 different things at the same time and give us.
I got heat with Lucha Blog though, man. The Cubs against my Indians in that World Series, man. The only team that deserved it more. Come on,
it's okay. It's okay because you know what? He actually has a good Lucha Libre podcast, unlike ours.
Oh, stop it! Ours is not a Lucha Libre podcast. Ours is Mayhem. It says it in the title. There's masks. There's masks, and then there's Mayhem.
Legally, mayhem means eating in the part of another person.
Cool.
On that topic, does Meef have a mask in his hands this week, or does he not?
Yeah, Meef, do you have a mask in your hands, or are you happy to see us?
I do have a mask.
What are we talking about? What's this mask?
And this is the very first mask that I ever bought from Pentagon Jr., which was quite funny because he spoke no English when I did it. And a guy called Jose Popoca out of New York had to help me out. But this is made by Nenico, which was one of his early kind of mask makers.
Who doesn't make his masks anymore, right? Like
no, because this is half decent.
Thank you. Fired. Also, if we can't see you, tell us what it looks like.
So it is black with gold details. And it's sequined on the flappy bits is the nicest way to put it. And it's kind of got a
junior mask too. It has his junior ninja star on the forehead.
You know, Meef, I would be sequined on my flappy bits if we had a certain sponsor.
What's the historical significance of this mask?
For me, this is the very first one that I ever bought. This is
for everyone else.
Beginning of my problem.
Why are we listening to this right now?
No, Byron, you can be historically important to just yourself. It's completely
that's a good point.
Like Justin.
This began the museum.
Justin's weird little schnozberry drink. The first one he drank is very important to him. Now that he's on can 7 and there's like a pyramid next to him.
Well, I do appreciate that it started the museum. I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing more about the phantasm masks you have.
Oh, yeah. So make sure it's with a PH.
It's PH. Hey, so how was our feedback on our interview with Ship Chasen?
It's phenomenal, through the roof. It's doing great, and Skip is the man for coming on the show.
No, I love
people
that.
Came up to me on the street, said they loved it.
And we want to
Steve H. Chasen.
We want to tell our good friend Eric Van Wagenen we love him as well.
Calm. Why don't we have a stay calm shirt?
What? Why? Oh, my thing?
Our thing.
This thing. And until next time, stay calm and stay in the mix.
Hug a penis.